gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for July 27th, 2022. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, they got women in video games now. Surely this is witchcraft. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Lucy James from Giant Bomb and GameSpot, everybody. Yay.
Hi, women in games. What next?
What next? Man, wow. I got them in video games now, and we don't know what to do about it. Everyone's going to freak out. Hey, we'll talk about that. That's one of the stories today. But Lucy, how are you doing?
I'm okay. Yeah, it's 8 a.m. over here, so this is peak waking up hours. So I've got my big thing of coffee, and I'm ready to dive into the news.
So I like the little thing of coffee that just does the espresso that just compresses it down and just like makes it puts it right into my eyeballs. You like just slowly sipping on the coffee all day? Is that how you do it?
I typically I have like a little routine. I make one of these and I have it over the course of like I always have loads of meetings in the morning, so I need to stretch that out because typically I am just sat here for like 3 hours when I wake up.
Right, exactly. So you need to be doing something to like be like triggering that brain to like be like firing up here and there. I get that.
I need a constant drip of dopamine and caffeine, not just like the one shot, not just like the adrenaline shot.
That's probably smarter. I probably should just be sipping on something throughout the day, but I'm like right before the show, let's just do a whole bunch of caffeine and then that'll go really well. And everyone's about to see the results of that right now. Before we get into what is certainly going to be a mess, let's explain ourselves. Each weekday, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news, the catch-up where we discuss the biggest topics consuming the lives of gamers everywhere, and maybe even bring some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings, or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. If you are watching on there, please be sure to hit that like button. It helps people find the show. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Grand Theft Auto 6 details have leaked. These come from Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg. I'm just going to go through these bullet points, and then we'll talk about some of the other meat and potatoes in this story as well. It will feature a female protagonist for the first time in series history. She's a Latina who and one of two characters inspired by Bonnie and Clyde. The working title is Project Americas. The main location is Miami and the surrounding areas, but the game is going to evolve over time, adding new cities. The game's scope is huge with more interior locations than previous GTA games. What does that make you think, just off the bat, like hearing those bullet points? Like, does that sound like what you want from the next Grand Theft Auto?
Yes. I mean, selfishly, I would have loved if we'd gone back to London, somewhere we haven't really explored since like the old top-down, old GTA. And I think they could have done something really fun with it. But I kind of appreciate that, like, London is a very tight city. You know, it's very windy. It's not necessarily as fun. You don't necessarily have, I don't know. I don't think you have the zany. And I think that's crucial to Grand Theft Auto, right? Especially now after GTA 5, you need an element of the zany. And while I think London can be plenty zany, I don't think it's as it translates as easily.
It's
like
not
I think
as
there's still
colorful popping as an American sort of when you're skewering American culture, it's very easy to take that color and like spin on it. And London, I associate with like not uptight, but like it is a certain sort of pristine quality, and then you have to like get outside the city to like get to those that zaniness, and even that zaniness is like shades of gray rather than Miami's neon pink, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like, even if you were to go outside of the city in London, you were going to go to the, outside of the M25. It's all kind of green and like,
right.
I'm just saying, because I've obviously been in the US for a long time, and there are still moments where my humor and like the humor of my American friends and stuff doesn't necessarily gel. Not gel, but like I'll say something and they just have like no knowledge of it. And so when you're thinking of like making a game as mass marketable and your biggest audience is probably in America, yeah, it makes more sense. I'm sad. I'm still sad though.
Yeah, I think God, this is the problem with this series taking so long from one entry to the other. It's like if they were doing these every 3 to 4 years, it'd be like, okay, well, we got Miami then. Let's try something different next time, because we hit the the highlights. We did San Andreas, then we're gonna do Miami, and now that affords us the opportunity to try something different. But they are taking forever between these games, and so it's kind of like we're putting a lot of eggs into one basket. This has to hit. What is something we could do that sort of feels like a guarantee? And going back to Miami definitely feels that way. Now, do you think with the adding cities over time, that they will expand beyond like the East Coast of America? Because I'm kind of thinking they're gonna like add Liberty City and stuff like that.
Up to Liberty City. Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. That is actually quite exciting to me, because it's one of the reasons why I don't necessarily play a bunch of GTA Online, is because I feel like I've explored that map, and I feel like I know Los Santos pretty well. But you think about the lifespan of a game like GTA Online, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have these substantial content drops, and they do include new locations and cutscenes and whatever. But like adding a whole new city adds just so much more to the game.
Right.
So I'm very intrigued by the prospect of it. But also, isn't that not like, is this just what games are going to be now? Like AC Infinity or whatever it is?
Sounds a lot like
it's
AC Infinity. Yeah, it really does. I think... I mean, okay, I suppose if we are in a situation where we have Grand Theft Auto 5 from 2012, is that when it came out? 2012, 2013? 2013. And then we like that game, lasts for forever because of GTA Online. If they would have like predicted it was going to last this long when they put it out, wouldn't they have maybe made it easier to add big new cities to it and like new stuff so they could really keep it going, and at the same time satisfy these two varying audiences that they have: the audience that wants the GTA Online stuff, and the audience that would come back to the game because there's more big single player content. And then if by doing one of those things they could serve the other audience, they could serve both audiences at the same time, that makes it make sense. I'm like, if we are going to be stuck with a GTA 6 for 10 years or something like that, I kind of like it maybe should be this way. Maybe this is the way to make these games from now on.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the not running joke, but it is certainly a running criticism now of Rockstar that you don't necessarily get the big single player DLC. Like we're not getting a Ballad of Gay Tony anymore. We're not getting Undead Nightmare anymore. We're just getting updates to the online stuff. And so if this is one way to kind of, and we've seen them experiment with this with GTA Online. Like this is not, to be completely unexpected. Like recently, they put Franklin DLC out, and Dr. Dre was in it, and they've done all of these big content drops with story, and so this makes all the sense in the world, and it's exciting. Like I am ready to be excited about a new GTA.
And it also, it's like it really plays into this conversation that we've had. People been asking stuff like, are games going to be easier to make, and so they will take less time? And one of the examples that people use for that is, in Unreal Engine, they've shown these buttons you could press that basically just makes an open world city for you. And so if artists aren't stuck making an open world city for years, won't these games take less time? And I think we can look at what they're saying about GTA 6, just sort of immediately disprove that based on what they're talking about. They're like, yeah, maybe the city's easier to make, but we are making more interior locations than in any Grand Theft Auto before, and there is no button to just automatically do that. So it's just the scope keeps getting bigger and shifts to new things, new exciting things that would set this game apart from the previous games. And so the timeline, according to this story, is maybe 2 years out from now is when we will get this game. That late 2024 at the earliest. Do you buy that, or you think like this thing's just going to keep creeping out?
I honestly don't ever put a timeline on Rockstar.
Same.
They don't need to worry about that. They don't need to hit anything for financial. 2024 would be fantastic. 2025 would be great, but
yeah, I think it'd be fun.
Regardless of what people clamoring for, they're going to do it on their own timeline. So I'll still be here. I'll be here waiting.
Ideally, I'll still be here and I'll be ready for it. Absolutely. Like
provided the world doesn't implode,
Exactly. And in that case, I'll just go back to charging my my DS to play Chinatown Wars in the post-apocalyptic wasteland with my like little solar panel charger thing in the wastes. The other big thing here, the Bonnie and Clyde characters. This is the first time that a woman character will be playable in a GTA game, I believe, ever. Definitely in any of the like major 3D games and major numbered games.
Yeah, I believe you could in one of the top-down ones.
Yeah, I'm like,
but
like,
you know,
yeah, I'm like, right, exactly. The completely different like era of games and era of Grand Theft Auto. I mean, I guess I'll get your initial reaction, then this will take us into the other part of the story, which is the change of Rockstar's culture. Is this something that you've needed from this series, or is it just like that is finally nice, or you know, what are your feelings regarding this?
I think it's been needed for a long time. I mean, Grand Theft Auto is at this point one of the biggest entertainment properties in the world.
Yeah.
It's got staying power. Grand Theft Auto has always made such an imprint on popular culture, and I think it's great that they're finally putting a female protagonist in. That's very exciting to me. I also think like their humor has and the writing, like it's always been good, but it's definitely got a lot more biting and a lot more sharp, and I think a lot better over the past few years. And I would have been, you know, if you'd asked me around the time of maybe GTA 4, I was like, oh, what do you think they'll do with a female protagonist? But then after seeing characters like Sadie Adler and Abigail Marston in Red Dead 2, obviously like a different team, but you assume that Hauser will be on it in some capacity. It'll be, you know, Sam will probably be on it. I'm intrigued by what they could do. I think it could be very exciting. And I think like the Bonnie and Clyde element of it, where it is going to be, I wonder if that's going to be, you know, a love story that's what ties them together, or if it's going to be, you know, something else, like something that makes them really reckless. And because, you know, we in GTA 5, the protagonists were all kind of bound by greed, which is fine. That's in keeping with a GTA game. But if you are going for maybe a love story between the two, that's also a very intriguing prospect.
Yeah, like it opens up new possibilities for storytelling. It also like, you know, it opens new possibilities for like ways of viewing the world through the prism of these different characters, and we've kind of had a certain kind of character for forever. It does sound like the development team is more interested in that stuff, and that's because of the cultural changes at the studio. At least that's the way the story puts it over at Bloomberg. That you know, they were like, the team was pretty insistent on having a female character, and then they were also pretty insistent on things like, okay, maybe we should change up our humor and make it more sharp in terms of who are we attacking with these jokes. Like maybe we should be careful about punching down. Something that the GTA series has never really been worried about before. Do you think? I have my take on this, but I want to hear yours, Lucy. Do you think that is going to lose the spirit of Grand Theft Auto if they are worried about that sort of thing, or do you think a modern GTA can still make perfect sense, even if it is taking into consideration things like who is the target of a joke?
I think at this point, given everything that's happening in the world, and, you know, obviously we saw some of this in GTA 5 when they were taking the piss out of like the Facebook equivalent, like the fruit phone. I think there are just so many targets to punch up to that I am not worried at all, because I think, you know, there was kind of I think it was like the long running rumor that GTA 6 was taking so long because the world was beyond parody, right? Yeah. And I think we're at a point now where we all just kind of need to punch up a little bit. So I'm not worried. I think they will still find, like, one of the things that I always really enjoy is about Rockstar games is like, it's not necessarily the big bad who is the one that you kind of latch onto. It's the random side characters. And I think, you know, a huge game like whatever GTA 6 will undoubtedly will be full of those, especially in a place like Miami. Because, you know, you just have to Google Florida man and you get some wild shit. So there is no, you know, there's a bunch of inspiration there, but there's also a bunch of inspiration just from what is happening in the world right now. Yeah,
and I think these two things, like what you're talking about there, go together too, where it's there are so many targets, but the world is, like, it seems beyond parody. I think the way that a comedic approach can sort of thrive in that environment is to try to, like, force yourself into the difficult joke, force yourself to not go for the easy punchline, and try to, like, you know, maybe have even like a sort of positive attitude in many of your jokes. And then when it comes time to really take something down that is this like punching up situation where like this is a target that obviously needs to be taken down a peg, that is when you can really kind of get mean and then has more of an approach to, or more of an effect, because it feels like, okay, they've held themselves back and now the thing they're going after is like, wow, they're really going for it. And I think like having that sort of really deliberate approach to joke writing and to writing of the story and presentation of the characters can be really effective. It can help Grand Theft Auto 6 stand apart in a world where Grand Theft Auto 5 and everything before was sort of everything was just as whimsical as possible. And maybe they'll maintain some of that, but I think that there's a strong chance that some of the whimsy will be turned down until they get into those situations where they are like taking down a Facebook or something like that or something. Yeah.
Who would the target be? We've done Facebook. Who's headquartered in Miami? Who can we take down?
I mean, well, you got Ron DeSantis, so maybe that's it. Yeah. I think it's like probably the right time just to go back to attacking like the core of what's wrong in America, and that's people. I don't know, religion, a million other things, like just the old. As an
immigrant into this fine country, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm sorry. Let's make sure we don't mess anything up for you. So moving on. The work culture improvements. Here's another bullet pointed list of things that have been improved. More producers to help avoid overtime and crunch. Conversion of contractors to full-time employees. Removal of abusive employees, new additional mental health and leave benefits, and staff is more flexible with how they use their time. A lot of these things just sound like common sense ways to approach this stuff, like having more producers so that people can better manage how people are using their time so they don't have to crunch is kind of the first thing everyone always brings up when they're like, well, why are you crunching? Like, shouldn't management better be overseeing this project so they could scope it out better? But it's still nice to hear that they're implementing this stuff, right?
Yeah, it's really nice, and you've got to hope that it's not a change that's come from sort of a public reckoning. You've got to hope that it is a change that has been wanted to happen from within. But these are all really positive, especially the removal of abusive employees. That's fantastic, and mental health and leave benefits is really great. So it's Rockstar has always kind of been. We all remember the LA Noire crunch accusations, especially, and accusations on most of their games, right? So I really hope that this is a sea change for them, and that it's going to be great for the folks who work there.
Yeah, and
they make great games.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like you want to be able to enjoy their games sort of as guilt-free as you can enjoy any consumer product, but it's the kind of thing where like it does seem like this is the change that is needed to sort of modernize a studio to last into the future, and then to also bring these sorts of concerns into the games you're making and make them the games that feel like modern games that can exist for a long time and withstand scrutiny in many ways. I'm all for this. Obviously, I think that it is nice to hear that this is stuff that seems like they implemented it in the last several years, and many of the things have stuck. It's not like they were failed experiments. It sounds like they are sticking, and that's like very encouraging, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Very excited for them.
All right. More news out of Bloomberg from Jason Schreier. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic indefinitely delayed. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, a remake of a 2003 role-playing game, is delayed indefinitely as developers at Austin, Texas-based Aspire Media try to figure out what comes next. Aspire also abruptly fired the game's art director and design director this month. In a series of meetings throughout July, Aspire's two studio heads told employees that the project is on pause and that the company will look for new contracts and development opportunities. And this comes from Jason's sources.
Jason's been busy, man.
Busy, especially this week, just like bam, bam. On June 30th, Aspire finalized a demo of the game known as a Vertical Slice to show to production partners Lucasfilm Limited and Sony Group Corporation. The developers were excited about it and felt they were on the right track, according to a person familiar with the project. So they were shocked by what happened next. The following week, the company fired design director Brad Prentz and art director Jason Miner. Neither responded to requests for comment, but Miner suggested on a social media page that his dismissal was unexpected. Aspire studio heads told staff that the Vertical Slice wasn't where they wanted it to be and that the project would be paused, according to two people who were in the meeting. One person familiar with the discussion suggested that a disproportionate amount of time and money had gone into the demo and that the project's current course wasn't sustainable. Another point of contention may be the timeline. At the outset of development, Aspyr told staff and partners it would release the game by the end of this year. According to two people familiar with production, developers said a more realistic target now would be 2025. The fate of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remains unclear. In May, Embracer announced that Saber Interactive would also join the project. Some at Aspyr believe that Saber, which has mainly been doing outsourcing work for the project, may take it over completely. What is going on here, Lucy?
Oh my God. I mean, it's wow, what a heartbreaking situation for the team. Like, if it's been in development for 3 years, and then you kind of show it to your partners. So I guess Lucas and PlayStation saw something they really didn't like.
The story doesn't like explicitly even say that, though. It's like,
no, but it's like, yeah, the following, after showing it to Lucasfilm and Sony,
a week later,
following week, shit just went
right.
south.
I wonder if it wasn't even that they didn't like it, that there was something they really didn't like. I wonder if it was like they liked it, but like, okay, go back and you need to make just a couple changes here and there, and even that much was too much for Aspyr. Because what it sounds like is Aspyr looked at the costs of what it took to make that much of the game, that vertical slice, and they're like, if we extrapolate from there, first of all, this is going to take years. This is going to take until 2025, which is something like I've heard previously. I've reported that previously, that this game's not coming until 2025. But like they're like, okay, and then on top of that, that means significantly more cost. We don't have the money to do this, and our partners that we just showed this to, they're fine. But before they want to give us, before they'll give us more money, they want us to make these changes, and even that is too much. That's kind of where it sounds like it's going for me, and that is like even kind of worse because that means that they were like just trying to they were running on fumes and trying to get to this finish line, and they got there, and all of a sudden it's like maybe we should have realized a long time ago we didn't have the capacity to pull this off, which is gotta be frustrating.
Super unfortunate. And like, imagine if you are a dev who's maybe not privy to that sort of information, you make something that you think is great and then this happens. Super unfortunate. And it's like, as well, it's, it garnered so much goodwill when it was shown off.
Right.
Everyone was super excited about it. You hear Jennifer Hale again and everyone's like, oh, it's happening.
Yep.
And then this.
It's the kind of thing where you can you can see like all these problems maybe creeping up just from like looking from the outside. You're like, Aspyr, they haven't worked on a game, a big remake like this before. They do remasters,
right?
they do ports. What's that?
Mobile.
They move a lot of games to mobile. Recently they've been moving a lot of Star Wars, Lucasfilm older games or LucasArts games to Switch and other platforms like that. But it's all just like ports, and they launch with kind of like some issues, and they do get fixed with patches eventually. But it's like, okay, this is the company that's going to do this, and of course you think, well, they must just have a team that they've built up that is capable of all this, and that's just why the resources aren't going to these ports because it's going to this big other project. I still think like it's very easy, even if you are a long-running development studio, to underestimate what is required to make a giant modern-day AAA video game, even if it's one that you are remaking and sort of using the bones of the old one to remake. I bet it's like, man, this seemed like it was going to be something we could pull off, and the scope just keeps creeping up and up, and it's getting out of hand. Aspyr is a subsidiary of the Embracer Group. Who
isn't at this point?
Exactly. So hearing that sorry, what's the name of the team? Saber Interactive, which is a pretty it's a similar team, but they're also pretty impressive. Like, they're the ones to put The Witcher 3 onto the Switch.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like they have like some technical chops and stuff like that. It's like maybe Saber coming in and might be able to like get this over the finish line. But I'm like of the opinion that maybe we never see this game. What do you think?
I hope. I was just looking up and seeing what else Saber has done. Obviously, you see their name and stuff, but
yes, well, they do a lot of work for hire stuff, and they're pretty. And they did SnowRunners, one of my favorite games. But yeah,
nice. Yeah, Halo PC stuff as well. It seems they've worked on. But no, I mean, I think it would just be super unfortunate. And I know I've said before, I'm not necessarily a Star Wars person. I've accepted that.
Mm-hmm.
But you are talking about one of the most beloved Star Wars stories, not just Star Wars video games. You're talking about one of the most beloved Star Wars stories. a game that undoubtedly shifted the perception of BioWare and the games that team would eventually make. And so it's very important. Obviously the original still exists, but you know, people were so stoked for this remake, and it's really sad if it doesn't come to fruition, I guess.
Yeah.
But, you know, totally understand kind of like the business side of things, but I hope it makes it out there.
The one interesting point, and someone brought this up in chat, this is Embracer Group, and recently acquired under the Embracer Group, Eidos and Square Enix Montreal, which are probably going to change their names pretty soon. But like AAA studios that maybe like are looking for work. I've heard some of the stuff they're working on. I'm still like trying to back that stuff up before I report it. It's not this, but it's like, you know, those are still in the pitching phase because it's really early. So maybe those don't go well. And they're like, hey, well, maybe could you work on this instead? Those studios seem like they'd be able to pull this off, and then would kind of keep the deal under Embracer, right?
I mean, I would say, yeah, I would, thinking about like Eidos Montreal, certainly that's a really talented team. I would be really intrigued to see if they could do it. Yeah, that would be a smart move. I just wonder if it doesn't get messy with the rights at that point.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like the deal too. Like the deal was a certain group, a certain studio, right? And it's like 3 years. I think that might predate Aspire being under Embracer. I can't remember exactly, but you know, I think at a certain point, everyone just kind of would want to see it done and would want to be like, would be willing to say, okay, whatever it takes to make it happen.
Yeah. So, you know, fingers crossed. I mean, yeah, Embracer has a lot of talented studios, and there is certainly the question mark about what teams like, you know, obviously the Deus Ex team are going to be doing next. So, hey.
Yeah. I think Dander in chat says, I think we get a KOTOR remake, just not this version of the remake. And I think that's also very likely. Sort of like, I think what's happening, with Beyond Good and Evil 2, which is in testing this week. I've like had a lot of people like reach out to tell me about that. But it says it looks pretty good, but it's the world is pretty bland.
What is that game? What is that game?
Right, exactly.
I'm sorry.
I think there's zero chance it is the game we saw in that original trailer, right? So it's going to be, I think, a similar situation with this remake.
I'm amazed they didn't fucking put NFTs in it.
Yeah,
there's still time. There's still time.
Yeah, there's still time. All right, Xbox closes its fiscal year with record annual revenue. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. The Xbox division reportedly generated record revenue during Microsoft's fiscal year ending on June 30th, 2022. Microsoft reported its fourth quarter earnings on Tuesday when it said gaming revenue decreased $259 million or 7% compared to the same period last year, but that is in line with its previous guidance for that quarter. Xbox hardware revenue decreased 11%, and Xbox content and services revenue fell 6%. And this is a quote, driven by lower engagement hours and monetization in third-party and first-party content, partially offset by growth in Xbox Game Pass subscriptions, Microsoft said. The decline you're seeing in Xbox hardware is partly a reflection of the fact we had that launch about 2 years ago. So with supply constraints that we had seen over the last couple of years, it kind of extended out that period for consoles. So basically they're saying like a year ago even, it was still like this really chaotic launch period for the system where people were buying, like they just would see a system, they would immediately buy it. And that has sort of slowed up a little bit according to Microsoft. We're still seeing strong demand, but coming off those highs that we saw in the last couple of years with the launch. But we are coming off those highs. Nevertheless, $3.45 billion in quarterly sales for Xbox represents the division's second best fourth quarter ever, according to independent market analyst Dom's Playing. And he says, assuming $3.45 billion in quarterly gaming sales, annual revenue for Xbox reached $16.22 billion, he tweeted. While that's down a bit on a rolling basis, it's the highest fiscal year sales ever for Xbox. Kind of not too surprising, like we're seeing sales are still super high historically, kind of coming back down after the pandemic, but not coming down to pre-pandemic levels, sort of finding this equilibrium of there are a lot of new gamers here, still a lot of demand for the new consoles, but not quite able to keep up the momentum they had in 2020, 2021, right?
Yeah, it's also a wild way of saying just not that many games. Just not that many big games, true. Is it? Yep. Like even Halo.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I mean, to be expected, increase in Game Pass subs as they kind of continue to invest in that service and promote it.
And the people buying new Xboxes are probably, a lot of them are getting Game Pass alongside it, right? That just
100%.
Hand in hand.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes sense. Like, and also the 3.45 billion in quarterly sales kind of puts a lot of Xbox's acquisitions into perspective, where we
Right.
kind of balk at figures like however many 69 billion for Activision, or was it 12 or whatever for ZeniMax, and it's like
7 or 8ish, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, oh no, they make a lot of money just in the gaming division. Yeah, that's fine.
Yep, exactly. And it's like that's the kind of money where it's like when you're churning through that much, once they close the deal like Activision, that 3.45 quarterly gaming sales is going to immediately double. It's going to go to like 6, 7, 8 billion every quarter, just because Activision can add that much. So yeah, it's the kind of thing they want to. That's the reason they are excited about this is because that's what they report, right? Our quarterly gaming sales, and if that number is going to a balloon after the acquisition, it's going to make the division look even that much stronger. It will be that much stronger, and investors will really be into that.
Yeah. Phil Spencer gets some kind of Xbox knighthood or something.
Yes, and like even Satya Nadella, he tied his bonuses to the growth of Game Pass, right? So
wow.
Yeah, like if Game Pass grows a certain amount, he gets major bonuses. So like he's interested in that. Like that's like how important it is to the company.
Satya Nadella, a gamer confirmed. Yeah. He's one of us.
He's always been one of us. Satya, come hang out on the show someday. We'll get you on here. Returnal's PC listing updated to show Steam Deck support. This is by Jordan Midler at VGC. The Steam database entry for what is almost certainly Sony's Returnal has been updated again. This is refueling speculation that Housemarque's 2021 shooter could soon be revealed for the platform. Now, eagle-eyed users have noted further updates to the listing, with several rapid changes being made within the space of a few days. These include, this come from Mocha Joe on Reset Era. Shout out to Mocha Joe.
I love people's usenames. Yeah, Mocha Joe. What
sorry,
a
I forgot
one.
Your beans. It's what is the Curb Your Enthusiasm reference? There we go. He says 8 depot/app changes on July 11th, 10 depot/app changes on in the past 24 hours, 6 more made after that, and then the external ship got an update for the first time in 20 days. Doesn't happen often, but it's an interesting coincidence. And then Steam Deck controller profile was added to the database entry. So a lot is happening like with this game. Like there's someone is in there updating frequently. And I mean, I don't know if that means like, okay, a release is imminent or an announce is imminent, but it certainly feels that way, right?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I mean, we know that PlayStation is committed to putting more of its first party stuff on PC. Would this be the first Steam Deck? I don't have a Steam Deck yet. I'm still waiting. Well, it says Q3. But then I checked the calculator and it was like January 2024.
Oh no!
So I don't know.
That can't be right. No,
I think it must be Q3. But is this the first? Any of the PS games playable on Steam Deck? Like Death Stranding and stuff is, right?
God of War is. God of War. You can play God of War on there. So here's the thing. I don't think that all those games are Steam Deck verified. The God of War probably is because I keep seeing it pop up. So that must be verified. But like Spider-Man is coming in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I emailed them. I said, hey, can I get a code? And they're like, talk to Tam. We already gave him a code. I'm like, Jesus. And I'm like, well, I was going to try it on the Steam Deck. And they're like, oh, well, we haven't said anything about the Steam Deck yet. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I mean, if a game's on Steam, I'm still going to try it on the Steam Deck. I didn't say that to them, but I mean, yeah. So like, there's still this thing where they're like, we haven't verified it for Steam Deck, but like the fact that with a game sort of coming out after Spider-Man, likely with Returnal, they are saying, hey, we are verifying this for Steam Deck right out of the gate. It does seem like that is more important to them, and I think it just speaks to their how determined they are to take advantage of all the features on the Steam and appeal to the PC gaming audience.
Yeah, and I mean, imagine just like that feels like a really good game on the go.
Yes. It feels like both a good game on the go and a good mouse and keyboard game, and the fact that I could just bounce between both. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because I bounced off Resogun. Wrong game, but
same developer.
Same developer. I did enjoy Resogun, but no, I bounced off Returnal because I just I was playing it before the sort of rest patch stuff was sorted, and I was like, I need to be able to stop playing this at some point. Yes. But if it sounds like they fixed all that, and just to take it on the go and just be sat on the bus or something, it just.
Yep, it's a game that I think is it's really solid with mouse and keyboard controls. I'm probably really gonna dig it, and the fact that you're when I'm like into a run and I want to take it with me, I could just throw it on the Steam Deck and keep playing it. But yeah, I'm excited to get back into that game. It's a game I like a lot. I don't love it, but I like it a lot. $100 million Riot settlement has been approved. The studio must submit to 3 years of independent oversight. This comes from Grace Benfell at GameSpot. The settlement represents material restitution for hundreds of aggrieved women. On Friday, July 22nd, a California judge preliminarily approved a $100 million settlement between Riot Games and the women who sued the League of Legends developer on the grounds of gender discrimination. Via a report from Axios, the court sign-off means that the aggrieved women will finally receive that material restitution. The payout will be thousands of dollars for both current and former Riot employees who worked at the company from November 2014 to December 2021. Those eligible for the payout will receive a notice by the end of August, according to the court. The settlement has further conditions. Riot has agreed to 3 years of independent oversight to address pay disparities and other means of discrimination. The settlement also means that Riot will hire 40 of its female contractors full-time. There's like some other small details here, but like this speaks to our first story of the day, where Rockstar has done a lot of these things, voluntarily. It has brought on a lot of contract workers to be full-time. It has worked on its pay disparity between men and women. Like, that was one of the key points that they tried to take care of. And like, the alternative here is maybe you might end up in a situation that Riot's in, where this deal was originally $10 million. And then the women fought back and said, that's not enough. It got pushed up to $100 million. And then on top of that, they still have to improve their workplace. It's like, well, what if we just improved our workplace before all this happened? Like, it kind of just seems like, just do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing is, like, I think this is, a great resolution. And I'm really glad they pushed back on the 10 million to get 100 million. But my one question would be, like, what about the people who did not sign or did not take part in the lawsuit for fear of retaliation? So like, are they going to be cared for? Are they going to be catered for?
Let me see. I'm like, because this mentions like who's eligible, and it's like the payout will be thousands of dollars for both current and former Riot employees who worked at the company from November 2014 to December 2021. I hope that is without caveat. I hope that is without sort of any like condition. And I don't know if that's the case. I would read through it again. But as far as I understand, it seems like even if you didn't like sign your name to the lawsuit, this is like a lawsuit that still applies to you. I hope, but yeah, I'm not 100% positive about that. Still, like, this is the kind of thing where it's like it's a few $1,000s for each woman is great. The idea is to sort of discourage the company, though, in the long run, and $100 million to a company that it's still for Riot.
I mean, burns through a lot of that, but at the same
billions of dollars. But yes, you still want to like cause some pain there. That's eating into bonuses for some executives, right? So hopefully this hurts them enough that they want to change and never want to be in the situation again.
And also independent oversight is also fantastic. So
right, and hopefully that is the real deal. And I agree. Multiversus is Warner Brothers' biggest Steam release by far. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. Multiversus is easily Warner Brothers Games' biggest Steam release to date based on active players. The free-to-play fighter entered open beta on Tuesday, and its number of active users quickly started to build. By the end of its first night, the game had reached a peak concurrent player count of 144,456 players. At the time, that put it ahead of Apex Legends and behind only Lost Ark, Dota 2, and Counter-Strike. In all, the peak was the 7th highest on Steam in the last 24 hours, ahead of such titles as Team Fortress 2, Monster Hunter Rise, Ark Survival Evolved, Rust, and Destiny 2. And that's the peak versus like at the time of its concurrent. So in case you're wondering, like, I was only 3 games ahead of it, like that. Yeah, it's 2 different measurements. It also marked the highest peak concurrent player count ever achieved by Warner Brothers Games by some distance, and this is for Steam. The 10 previous highest peak recurrence recorded by Warner Brothers Games / Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment are Lego Star Wars had Lego Star Wars the Skywalker Saga, had 82,000. Then it was Back 4 Blood, Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor, Mortal Kombat 11, Mad Max, Batman Arkham Knight, and then Batman Arkham Origins, Mortal Kombat X, Injustice Gods Among Us, and Gotham City Imposters, free-to-play edition.
Oh, wow, Gotham City Imposters.
One I forgot about. That one had 7,249 peak concurrence, and then you go all the way up to Lego Star Wars at 82,000. All of those, kind of put in the rearview mirror by Multiversus, which to be fair, is a free-to-play game, right?
It's free to play, and also it got like you know, they were very clever by doing Twitch integrations
Yes,
and
they
like
were.
Twitch drops and stuff, and now like obviously a bunch of people are playing it. Have you played at all?
I have actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
I used my Steam account to get the premium version so I could have all the characters unlocked and stuff like that. I think it's pretty good. I think it's actually a good game.
It's fun.
It's fun.
I'm not a fighting game player at all. Like the only real character I can play is Bayonetta, just because I button mash and I'm like, oh,
she's really tough. So yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
she's you know. But I was playing some Multiversus the other day. Hi, Peanut. Sorry, my cat just like ran past me. Hi, Peanut. And no, it was really fun. But then I got beaten up by a CPU who was a character from a show that I'd never heard of, and I was like, well, this makes me feel old.
Describe what they look like. I want to see if we can guess.
A boy with like curly
Steven
brown
Universe.
hair.
Steven Universe. Yes.
Okay.
Does he have like a kind of a star on his chest or whatever? I think. Yeah. Steven Universe.
Who
yeah.
are you?
Yeah. He's That is like one of those shows that like appeals to multiple generations just because of its really, really, really good writing. But Mike Minotti, big fan of Steven Universe. There he goes in chat. I knew he would be there. Steven Universe rules, says Mike. It's good. But yeah, I don't blame. I'm not sure how I feel about the roster overall in terms of like how they appeal to me anymore. But that's probably just a me problem. I think this game's successful in the way Nickelodeon Battle Arcade or whatever it wasn't. Because I think Nickelodeon was appealing to a very certain audience, and this one's got like, well, we have Batman and Superman, but then we have Steven Universe, and then we have, LeBron James is coming and stuff like that. Like,
James.
yeah, it's a pretty like wide appeal there. So I think that they are,
But
it's
also
not
compared to the
successful.
Nickelodeon one, this game actually seems
Fun.
made.
That's also a very good point. Which is weird because this one's the free to play one, and that one was a premium priced one.
Yeah, but also like I don't know. I had Cartoon Network growing up for a very limited time when I was a kid, and so maybe this just feels like I might not know Steven Universe, but I know the other Warner Brothers stuff that's in there, like Shaggy and Velma, and Arya Stark. What a weird one. But
Yeah.
no, I'm stoked. I think Tam was saying yesterday, how did they not call this Warner Brothers Ultimate?
Yep.
Because it's right there. But I guess someone at Nintendo
Super Smash Warner Brothers. Yeah, absolutely.
Someone at Nintendo might have been a bit mad.
Yeah.
But also that's good for them. Because Warner Brothers has not necessarily had games for a while. Except for Lego Star Wars. So they've actually had a pretty good year, but overall, their releases have been relatively few and far between compared to where they used to be a few years ago. So this is cool.
And the longer this game succeeds, the more likely we are to get Ross from Friends. All right.
No. Oh my God. The biggest friend.
Yes, the biggest friend. There we go. Roblox has the oof sound effect gone. This is from BBC. This is how they put it. Roblox. Why has the oof sound effect gone? The famous oof sound effect has been removed from Roblox. Roblox announced the news on their social media saying, due to a licensing issue, we have removed the oof sound from Roblox and have created a replacement default sound which launches today. Previously, when a character died or respawned in Roblox, they heard a sound effect that said oof. The sound effect is hugely popular and is well known in and out of Roblox communities. It has been used in countless memes and videos around the world. As of July 26th, fans will hear a different default sound when their character respawns. The oof sound effect wasn't made by anyone at Roblox. It was actually made by a man, and this is how BBC puts it, by a man named Tommy Tallarico. There he is, everybody. Tommy Tallarico back at it again. Let's see. Tommy has worked in the video game industry as a composer, meaning he made the music and sound effects in games for more than 30 years, and is the former CEO of gaming company Intellivision. The oof sound effect was originally used in a game Tommy worked on that was released in 2000. Fast forward to 2019, and Tommy discovered how similar the Roblox oof sound effect was to the sound he made for the game he worked on, so he decided to contact Roblox. In 2020, an agreement was reached between Tommy and Roblox, which meant that anyone making a Roblox experience would have to pay $1, around 83 or 100 Robux, to be able to use the sound in their game. Tommy also agreed to work with Roblox to develop other paid sounds for them. He spoke to the BBC in 2020 and said, "It's amazing to think that such a small sound I did over 20 years ago for a different game ended up being one of the most iconic pop culture audio clips of the 21st century. Jesus Christ!
Oh,
Tommy
shut
Tallarico,
up.
fucking Christ! This motherfucker! I swear to God.
Oh,
Of
hey,
course, that's how he said it.
don't you talk about Steven Tyler's second cousin like that.
Right? So Steven Tallarico and Tommy Tallarico hanging out at family reunions and
Collecting. So we were talking about this earlier before we went live. Tommy Tallarico collects balsamic vinegar, and
yes.
I feel like that's all you need to know.
Yep, that sounds like Tommy. I mean, okay, and you asked about before about like how the Intellivision Amico's doing. He's no longer the CEO, but he's still at that company. There's no way that thing actually ever comes out. Oh, and if it does, it will be farted out and immediately like just completely demolished by the market. All right, moving on from the infamous balsamic vinegar collector and creator of the most iconic sound of the 21st century. We have, let's go to the catch-up where we have the August PlayStation Plus Essential games that have been added. Let's see here. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 plus 2, Yakuza Like a Dragon, and Little Nightmares. That's a pretty good lineup right there.
And so I chucked the classic 8:30 a.m. tweet in from PlayStation.
Here it is.
We're also adding 8 Yakuza games, including 6-0. I don't have my glasses. I think that's 3.
I'm looking at it right now. So that's 3, 4.
I think just all of them.
All of them, right? 8. There are 8 Yakuza games, right? So. Yeah, they're coming to PlayStation Plus in 2022 with the first titles becoming available in August.
Kind of. I mean, I'm always down for more Yakuza. That is amazing. Kind of sucks if you started playing them all on Game Pass and then. Well,
I think
some is still on.
I think a couple months ago, like a lot of them just came back to Game Pass. So I'm wondering how many you could play on. Right, it's like this is maybe ideal then if everyone could play all of these everywhere. That's fantastic. Like you could start with 0 wherever you want right now, and like that's probably the way to go. Play 0, play maybe 5 or 6, and then play Like a Dragon. And if you want to go back to all the other ones at that point, like that, you're all in. Go for it.
I mean, 0 is just one of the best games I think ever made. It's in my top 10. It's fantastic.
Re-downloaded it on my Steam Deck, so I'm like gonna really go into
2020.
It. There you go.
So no, Yakuza 0, fantastic. So that's great, and I'm just really glad that Yakuza is enough of a selling point because it feels like even a few years ago it was still relatively a more niche title, but now everyone is kind of on the Yakuza train.
That's right. Yeah. Here, let's just get this real quick. There we go. There's our boy. Just very happy that it's coming to PlayStation.
Sweet lad.
Okay, let's get back here. I messed up. I knew I was going to do that. 2 up vertical. There we go. All right. What else is in the catch up here? We got so Meta raised the price of the Oculus Quest 2. Everyone's sort of talking about how weird this is. We talked about this on the Bombcast, and my point was like people only raise prices when they not because like components become more expensive, like that obviously encourages it, but they raise it if they feel like they can get away with it. And with inflation being what it is, obviously Meta thought they can get away with it. But even then, this is weird because PlayStation and Nintendo and Xbox probably during the really intense parts of the pandemic could have also got away with raising their prices, but they didn't and wouldn't because they're like it's too much of a bad PR move, and we would and we make money from games.
About that?
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's what it is, right? They just they don't look around to learn from the other industries or other companies. They're just like, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. We know better than anyone. This at the same time, though, I think when it comes to like this holiday, and if these things are on the shelf for 120 gigabyte version for $400, I think most people are just gonna be like, yeah, all right. I need a present. I said I was going to get a VR headset for my kids. Here it is. I'm just going to pick it up. Yeah. I don't think this is actually going to hurt them too much. What do you think?
No, I mean, it just kind of sucks because, like, if you bought it after, like, or if you didn't realize the price was going up, and then, it feels like, you're getting Beat Saber included now, which is probably the only thing I really play on my VR headset. Shout out to the person at Red Ventures who bought one for his daughter for Christmas and then ended up selling it because she didn't want to play it. So thank you, because I bought it. And he was great. He he threw in shipping for me. So, I just want to say shout out to that person because he was great. But I don't know. Like, it feels like a weird price hike. I think you're right. I think they do think they can get away with it. But like, I know that isn't Meta's VR section sort of hemorrhaging money a little bit?
Right, and it's like, what does this say about the future of this whole VR industry? If like the main system that has sold pretty well, like the idea is you sell it, you get it in people's hands, and then you make money on the games. Like they still have a store where you can buy VR games through Meta, whatever, and they should be getting a cut of those. They're probably not selling as many games as they need to make this whole thing make sense. It's kind of what this says to me.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I think in terms of the PR shit show that Meta is going through right now, this is maybe has less priority over the fact that everyone is saying, leave Instagram, which is one of its big brands. You know?
And it's I mean, Facebook was flailing, and now the fact that Instagram is flailing.
Because they changed it, and I don't use Instagram that much, but it is wild to see the backlash against it. People have been talking a long time about discoverability on that platform and then how it's pivoted into a shop model and now basically trying to become more like TikTok. So Meta has its hands full. I feel like this is probably going to be, people are not going to remember the VR price hike. Wait, they might release the Meta Quest. It's awful to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
whoever the hell rebranded it. It has terrible mouthfeel.
Did we talk about this? Yeah, Meta Quest. There's too many like harsh consonants in there that really like bring your mouth to a halt. And then it's like you have to do this U-turn and be like Meta Quest. It's it's crunchy.
Well, I'm British,
and I hate
so I don't have to pronounce the T. So Meta Quest is fine.
Fair enough.
Terrible.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, here's a rumor I just wanted to bring up from Zippo, who does a pretty good job of getting Nintendo rumors right. We're still waiting to see if that Donkey Kong game is real, but it hasn't been, debunked either because we don't know what the Mario team is doing yet. Zippo says Kid Icarus Uprising is getting a remaster. You'll be happy to hear that a full remaster of the game is in development at Bandai Namco. There will be a new, much more accessible control scheme, and the visuals are getting a much-needed boost. There is one snag, however. The game's multiplayer mode will return, but will reportedly be running on Bamco's legendarily awful netcode. If you played any of Bamco's games online before, Smash, Fighter Z, Tekken 7, you'll know how disappointing this piece of news is. The remaster is due for release sometime next year. This is in line with what we heard previously about Bandai Namco was working on remastering an action game for Nintendo, and I think that was in like an earnings report or something. So, and I think at the time, a lot of people like kind of came to a consensus like the one game that makes the most sense is probably Kid Icarus Uprising. I mean, even if it's just like because they have experience working on Sakurai games, and that was a Sakurai game, so why not? And that was a game that you could rescue from the 3DS and sort of ensure that it has a longer legacy, so you don't have to do the weird touch screen with the stand thing. Which, do you remember how you played? Did you ever play Kid Icarus Uprising?
I had it. I played it a bit. I don't think I stuck with it very long though.
Right, it had that weird thing where like you'd like put it on like a stand, and then so it like hold it for you, and then you can use the aiming with the stylus on the bottom screen.
Oh yeah.
Weird thing. I'm glad they're. I hope this is true though, because that's a pretty good game, and it's nice that we get rescued. Okay. Let's get to the polls here. After Avengers, do you still have any interest in Marvel superhero games if they go single player? Let me see if I can get it up here. Let me get your response real quick before I get the actual thing up here. We talked about Black Panther earlier this week. The fact that they committed to it being, internally they've committed to it being single player. Is that enough to be like, okay, maybe I could get excited about superhero games again?
So, again, with my Star Wars takes, I think I'm kind of done with Marvel.
Well, that's what I think. That's exactly what, like, I think there's people who are in that same camp, right? After, like, maybe not even getting burned, but either burned or burnt out of being like, there's just too much.
There's just too much of it. And, like, I was looking at the Phase 5 reveal stuff, and I was like, nothing about this is really gelling with me. Like, yeah, cool. I like Charlie Cox. I would probably watch Daredevil. I will watch Blade because I am Tam's friend, and Blade is very important to Tam. And then I'll watch Black Panther 2. And other than that, I was like, I don't know if I'm in.
No, you did play Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order though, right? And you're kind of done. You were kind of like mostly done with Star Wars. Like
I did, because it was different enough. So like if it's a similar sort of vibe where it kind of divorces itself from the movie stuff, maybe I could be it. But also I just it's not where I was 10 years ago, where
Yeah.
like every new Marvel thing, you know, off the high of the Avengers movie, and it was like, oh god, you know, everything that they do is great, great, great. Now I'm just sort of like, oh, a lot of Marvel.
Yeah, I might
A lot of
be.
Marvel.
I'm like, I'm not quite to that extreme, but I'm definitely like trending in your direction a little bit. But after like hearing that this game could be like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, I'm kind of like, if they can get in that,
If they nail
get
it.
near there, I'll be really happy, and I'll be very happy to try those games.
But it is the team from like Middle Earth Shadow. And,
It is the new team founded by people who like oversaw that studio, but now at EA.
Yeah. So
yes.
I don't know. I think they have a great experience working with sort of licensed stuff and kind of trying their best to make it their own. I think with the Middle Earth Enterprises and the Tolkien estate, it's way more difficult to do that. I hope Marvel is a much more forgiving partner because that team has some great ideas, and like they ended up giving us the Nemesis system. So you know,
Absolutely.
I'm intrigued to see what they can do. But
in the Twitter poll, 79.8% said yes, 20.2% said no. So I think most people are still kind of like, yeah. I mean, Avengers was this misstep or a thing I wasn't interested in because they were trying to go the Destiny route. All I want is the single player games, and if they nail that, then I'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean, like I think in terms of like all the Marvel games out there right now, I think the only one that I'm really super excited for is the Wolverine game from Insomniac, but that's only because we haven't necessarily had, you know, however many X-Men games, X-Men movies either. At least not X-Men within the MCU.
Right.
We've had some X-Men movies.
Well, there was a period where we were getting lots.
We don't need to talk about
them. And it's like, man, got to the point where I was just like, wait, this came out. And
yeah, no, look, I don't know.
Oscar Isaac was Apocalypse. What the hell are you talking about? That didn't happen. Apparently did.
I fucking loved X-Men 2 though. X-Men 2, X-Men United was a great movie.
Yeah, when he goes berserk and he starts stabbing people, I was like, oh my god, they're doing it.
When it's him and Lady Deathstrike, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. But then other than that, no.
Man,
we haven't had a single X-Men movie since then. And they definitely didn't biff the...
Logan and the Wolverine are good.
Okay, Logan's good. But they definitely didn't biff Dark Phoenix twice.
Of course, Jan is a Cyclops fanboy. Oh my gosh, when will they ever do my boy Cyclops justice? Jan, you are the Cyclops of Giant Bomb, and I mean that in a nice way. All right, for tomorrow's poll, do you think that Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake from Aspyr ever comes out? Yes or no? We'll talk about it tomorrow. I hope it does too. He says he'll take it. Okay, very good. All right, what are we doing now? Yeah, what is happening on Giant Bomb for the rest of the week? What's up with you? I guess, Lucy, what's up with you? You got anything happening this week?
Today? Oh god, is it Wednesday already?
So.
It should be the One Punch Man, the finale of One Punch Man of Jeff's Bizarre Adventure, the One Punch Man Gaiden. So we should be talking about the final episode of One Punch Man today, and then we're gonna start. I already watched the episodes, but we're recording it on Monday. We're gonna be starting back with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure: Stardust Crusaders next Wednesday. I am so excited to talk about those because there's some wild stuff in there. And then we've got the rest of today. We also have Pit.
Yep. Arcade Pit, Albumer, Hitman 3 DLC stream. I'll be playing Hitman 3, and there will be a couple of devils. I don't think I'll have any angels on my shoulder telling me what to do.
I was gonna say you're gonna have one on each side.
Yep.
Oh my god, yeah, and then on Arcade Pit we've got was it the Team Mayonnaise
Team
boys?
Mayonnaise, yes. Was it Jean-Luc and Jacob Decker? Is that what it is?
Yeah, from GameSpot playing, and then who are they playing against?
They're playing against Seb Mall and Jan. I think Seb Mall does our best of edits.
Nice.
So, yes.
Oh, that'll be a fun.
Or I think he does either that or he does the clips on social media. I can't remember which. That's not my department. I don't know. Ask Jan. But he's playing with Seb Mall, so look out for that today. It's going to be a good one, everybody. And then the rest of the week, we'll have voicemail dump truck. We'll have Game S mornings every morning, and then turn in for the what is likely going to be the finale of ranking of Tekken endings, which I'm really looking forward to watching with everybody while I drive down to Cleveland and go pick up some of my work mail.
Okay. Oh wait, someone said, did we already shout out the new shirts?
Yeah, so the new shirts are in the store. Yes, and there's a way to get 10% off. There's a post. I think Rory put a post on the site, and if he hasn't, it'll be up soon. So Yes, if you're a premium member, you can get 10% off. Go look into the details for that. Those shirts are fantastic.
I love them.
All
the
right.
one with the cat with the big
yes, with the giant bomb ball. Yeah, absolutely. It's good stuff. I'm going to pick up a shirt as well. All right, everybody, let's get out of here. Thank you so much, Lucy, for joining me. I really appreciate it. Thank you all so much in the audience. You're the best audience in gaming. I appreciate it. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.